I try to read a book on China at least every couple of months because it's so important. And I was delighted that the book I chose lately was, according to ChinaBookReviews.com, was absolutely the best nonfiction book to come out about China this year. It also won the Kundil History Prize, which apparently is the biggest purse in nonfiction English history writing. So it's not just me saying this is a great piece of work. It's called Red Memory, and it's by a woman who was the foreign reporter for The Guardian, which is an excellent outlet, in China for a lot of years. And this is somewhat about the Cultural Revolution. It's about the Cultural Revolution, and you'll get a decent history of the Cultural Revolution. But as she says, so much has been written on that. And this isn't what that book is about as much. It's more about the memory of the Cultural Revolution and how much it's allowed to be talked about in modern China, and how some people are feeling nostalgic for that very harsh time. And so it's really incredibly well written with a journalist eye for details that really bring to life the stories and somewhat the incomprehensibility of that time. I chose this because I'm always trying to learn more about the Cultural Revolution. I'm curious if that word is going to get this shadow banned. But the Cultural Revolution is so important because it is this mass hysteria that took over that can happen to any country at any time. And it happened to occur under Mao, under those circumstances. But one of the warnings of this book is it could be reoccurring now with the current personality cult, with the current leader. And so this book will give you a great idea of how the Cultural Revolution is looming now in the modern mind. And I'll end by reading a little section of it that I think helps us to remember about this time in history. It's a little mining town in the middle of nowhere, and it's from a woman who was living there since before the revolution and the Cultural Revolution. And it can be easy for us to forget how transformative the revolution was. She talked about how the party and the train for the mine had transformed the town. It was good to be a worker. It was right to be a worker. The wages rose. More women came. The train brought ribbons and books and blankets. Pork hung for sale along the market street. Talking to her reminded me what communism had meant to people then, not just how they lauded it today. A time when things were simpler, a time when they were winning, a way they could be winning now if they calculated correctly. Despite the famine, lifespans almost doubled after the party took power. Literacy rates shot up. Women won new rights and freedoms. But now the high street's only sign of life was an indolent cat on a windowsill. Across the way, a grand open-air stage overlooking the square had been repainted with Mao's portrait beaming from the back, but was peopled only by visitors taking selfies. I asked the old woman if they had used it for model operas in her day. And struggling people, she said. The struggle sessions were terrible. People boiled water to throw over them. So they targeted landlords and black elements, I asked. She cut me off. We didn't have landlords. We were all workers. There was infighting between the workers trying to get power. Factional struggles then, I said. It was people being barbaric to each other. That was all.